This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news.
In the world of skincare, particularly in products aimed at tackling acne, benzene is a word you don't often hear, but it's becoming a major concern. Benzene is a colorless, flammable liquid commonly used in industrial processes. However, recent reports have raised alarms about its contamination in certain consumer products, including sunscreens and acne treatments. Today, we'll explore the controversy surrounding benzene and its impact on popular products you see on store shelves.
Benzene is a known carcinogen, meaning it can cause cancer in humans. Extended exposure increases the risk of leukemia and other blood disorders. If you look at the ingredients list on your favorite skincare products, you won't find it. Benzene is not an intentional ingredient. However, the breakdown of benzoyl peroxide, a key ingredient in acne products, could result in high levels of benzene when tested. And most of that testing is coming from Valisure, a small, independent, Connecticut-based laboratory founded in 2015. They also had a pharmacy at one point, which has since been sold. For the last 5 years, Valisure has filed a half dozen citizen petitions to the FDA based on their testing. And their focus has been on benzene and NDMA, a carcinogenic chemical found in the generic form of Zantac, a heartburn medication withdrawn from the U.S. market in 2020 after one of Valisure's findings. In 2021, Valisure turned its attention to finding benzene in sunscreen products. They tested close to 300 products, and this led to a major recall of big-name items from Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and Unilever.
Don't use these sunscreen products. Johnson & Johnson have recalled these 5 aerosol sunscreen products because they contain traces of benzene, which is a cancer-causing agent. If you've used any of these 5 products, it's unlikely they'll cause any adverse health consequences because the exposure is very low. But it's still important to use alternative sunscreen products and take appropriate sun protection measures.
The internet lit up, and before you knew it, people were tossing out their sunscreens. Valisure claims benzene has also been found in a lot of other personal hygiene products, such as antiperspirants, deodorants, shampoos and conditioners, and even hand sanitizers. Then, in May of this year, Valisure submitted this citizen petition to the Food and Drug Administration. They were looking for benzene once again, but this time they tested popular acne products from big brands like Proactive and Clearasil, as well as products from Clinique, Target, Walgreens, and Walmart.
Hi, Renata Black here, dermatology physician assistant and also on the editorial advisory board of Dermatology Times. We woke up to terrible news. We found that there are high levels of benzene, which is a cancer-causing chemical, has been found in various benzoyl peroxide products. Now, just so you know, this is not a contamination as we saw in sunscreen several years ago, because benzoyl peroxide does break down into benzene. However, the products that they tested, they had levels of 2 to 1,000 times higher. To give you some context, FDA guidelines allow 2 parts per million. Some products have contained 12 times that amount, which is bad, right? Because benzene is equivalent to asbestos, lead, and formaldehyde, which is a class 1 carcinogenic.
That sounds terrifying, right? Let's go beyond the headlines and learn more about Valisure, the company making all of these cancer claims. Valisure is an independent third-party company. They are private, and they don't make much of their data public either. For example, in their citizen petition to the FDA, they tested for benzene levels at room temperature, skin temperature, and also extreme heat, which is 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius. But with their results, they published only the levels of benzene found with extreme heat. And people started to call them out for it.
I've talked about how this report on benzene and acne products use really high heat, but how scared should we be at normal temperatures? The Valasher report doesn't specifically tell us the numbers, but if we look at these graphs, we can estimate them from day 0. Assuming they measured these correctly, it looks like most of them are quite low, but a few might have about 20 parts per million. This is 10 times more than a limit the FDA has used before, which isn't great, but it's less scary than some people are making it sound. Benzene is actually all around us because it's in fossil fuels. It's at 1,000 parts per million in petrol and it evaporates into the air. It's also in natural gas and paints and furniture. Yes, it is a known carcinogen and there's no safe level, but that doesn't mean that any amount is dangerous. It means that little bits will add up to increase your risk of cancer. And even though we all breathe in benzene all the time, the vast majority of us don't end up with benzene-related cancers.
Since the report came out, Valasher has defended their testing techniques. They claim they were performing a stability study. In other words, they were interested in the safety of these products throughout the product's lifetime. Many of these labs use high levels of heat as a substitute for how well these products hold up over time.
The purpose of stability studies is not to copy the conditions of an average consumer. Rather, the purpose is to ensure the product is safe to use for the entire product's life cycle, from manufacturing through distribution to its expiration date, as it's often you'll see on the bottle, which is often a total of 3 years for pharmaceutical products. Products must be stable during this time and through all the possible bumps along the road of a product life cycle. It is also very common to condense the total stability of a product intended for multiple years of use by performing what's called accelerated stability studies that elevate the temperature for a few months. For example, according to publicly available calculators, 3 years of room temperature stability is equal to about 169 days at 50 degrees Celsius or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Valasher broadly observed dramatically high levels of benzene in only 18 days at 50 degrees Celsius.
Other sources we found, including articles from the Environmental Working Group, Consumer Reports, and various social media posts from politicians, are praising Valasher's testing because it's from an independent lab, one that's allegedly holding the FDA accountable because it's free from government bureaucracy. But that doesn't mean there aren't other factors at play here. Remember David, the co-founder of Valasher?
And his name is David. Well, guess who has a patent on a shelf-stable benzyl peroxide product? If you look at Google Patents, the same guy's name is right there. Now, what does this mean? Well, a patent is essentially a claim to intellectual property. It's saying, I had this idea first, and I'm going to claim it as my own for about 10 years. And basically, the people who created that patent and got it, they could sell that, they could license it to someone else, or they could make their own products with it. And remember that whether it's products or people's names, correlation is not causation. Just because something is related doesn't mean that it caused one another. For example, when ice cream sales rise, shark attacks rise. Does that mean that ice cream consumption is causing shark attacks? No, that means it's summer. More people are eating ice cream and more people are at the beach with sharks. Which, by the way, sharks aren't even as dangerous as getting into a car, but that's a story for another day. But correlation not being causation, we still have to look at this and say it's a little suspicious that this company, who's claiming that all of these products are so bad, is seemingly holding a patent so that they could create the exact solution.
Valasher has also been the subject of an investigation by the FDA. Shortly after the company released information about benzene in hand sanitizer, the FDA spent weeks combing through the lab's facilities, ultimately accusing them of operating without proper regulatory approvals. The FDA was convinced Valasher was doing tests for companies seeking FDA approval and accused them of violating regulations. Valasher claims they don't do regulatory work for anyone.
So what does all of this mean for those of us who just want to make sure we're not putting dangerous chemicals on our skin? Whenever possible, look at the situation from a holistic perspective. Benzoyl peroxide is just one ingredient in these products. But what about the other ingredients? Some are known hormone disruptors. Unfortunately, we come in contact every day with things that could potentially make us sick. It's when all of these little things are combined that it poses a problem, which also makes causation harder to track.
Cassava serves as a staple food for many families in eastern Uganda, providing essential nutrition. UNN Field Messenger Mwandha Michael shows us how it's cultivated and prepared.
Hello, this is Mwandha Michael reporting UNN. Today I'm out of the field in the farm, and I found some members in their gardens, and we discovered that they are growing cassava, which is a wonderful crop, easy to be grown and be planted.
This is the cassava. These are the trees, but we eat the roots. Now we use a hoe, you dig,
Yes.
and when you come across the root, this is still so young.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the type of cassava. Now this is too young, but after some good 3-4 months, it will be a very good root, which we prepare and eat. You can fry it, you can roast it, you can cook, and you can eat. And when you roast, it can be very good accompaniment when you are taking tea.
Cassava is being brought from gardens and be sold in the various areas. As you can see here, we have cassava in the market, and the cassava you can process. Now here is in the shop. They have already made with spices. You can have it as it is. It is very enjoyable. And then this is the only area where you find that they cut it in 2 pieces to dry it, prepare it for flour. So from there, it is now being done into flour. So this cassava flour, which can bring us into bread, and we eat it as food security for farming. And then there are ladies who make it a serious income out of it in their workplaces, because people come for it when they are taking their tea. They use it as a company. Thank you, Mwandha Michael, UNN Field Messenger, reporting.
There's a new leap in solar technology. Researchers have come up with a new type of transparent solar cell that could turn everyday surfaces into energy sources. Imagine car windows, phone screens, and even building glass charging up just from sunlight. Could this completely change the way we think about energy?
Traditional crystalline silicon solar panels have dominated the market so far, but their opaque nature limits where they can be installed, ideally on roofs or spacious areas. This poses a challenge in urban landscapes where buildings are high, densely packed, and largely made of glass. Transparent solar cells offer a promising solution, capable of converting existing glass windows into electricity-generating panels. This innovation might be the answer to cities' space constraints while maximizing energy efficiency.
Imagine a world where every surface becomes a source of power. The future is here with transparent solar panels, harnessing sunlight while maintaining the aesthetics. Charging your devices effortlessly through the power of light. From homes to cities, the possibilities are endless. The future of transparent solar panels is bright, literally, powering tomorrow today.
Transparent solar panels, also known as solar glass or photovoltaic glass, are a new technology that isn't as widely available to consumers as traditional panels. However, several companies are leading the way in developing these see-through panels. Despite having different levels of transparency, they all serve the same purpose. Semi-transparent solar panels are gaining attention for their unique balance of light transmission and energy output. Unlike fully transparent panels that let most visible light through while generating only modest energy, semi-transparent panels offer a much higher energy yield with some light filtration. They are ideal for building windows, sunroofs, car windows, bus shelters, and greenhouses, where partial light transmission is beneficial. However, they're not suitable for devices like smartphones that need full light transmission. Researchers in Korea have developed a transparent solar cell module that measures 16 square centimeters. It has impressive efficiency rates between 15% and 20%. It maintains a smooth look, like a single device. This module successfully charged a smartphone using natural sunlight, showing the potential for small mobile device screens to act as energy sources.
But this new one from Korea is different because it's the first one, if I can find it in the description, yes, if you really want to look at the nanotechnology there. It's the first one that utilizes crystalline silicone, which is the most common and efficient photovoltaic material. And they also have a unique modularization strategy that also tackles key challenges in scaling up the transparent solar technology for real-world applications, such as in this one, you can see some of the lines and connectors between the panels that would hook them up. But in the new one that was made in Korea, you don't actually see that. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. And it says the UNIST solar cells feature an all back-to-back ABC design with all electrical components located on the rear side of the cell to preserve a glass-like appearance, which I think is very, very cool. And in terms of efficiency, these hit 15.8%, which is on the lower end of normal silicon solar panel efficiencies.
Like traditional solar panels, transparent solar panels absorb light and turn it into electricity. However, they are unique as they allow visible light to pass through while capturing non-visible wavelengths such as UV and infrared. The technology behind transparent solar panels involves several layers, including transparent conductive films, semiconductor materials, and protective coatings. These work together to absorb light, convert it into power, and ensure the panel's durability. While the number of layers and specific materials might vary by manufacturer, the core purpose remains the same: producing electricity without blocking visibility.
Hang on a second, you're probably thinking, a window's one job is to let light pass through it, right? How can it do that and simultaneously harvest our sun's bountiful energy? Well, there's a lot more to sunlight than the parts you and I can see. Indeed, the so-called visible spectrum of light is a comparatively small subset of all electromagnetic frequencies. Transparent solar cells typically rely on devices known as transparent luminescent solar concentrators, or TLSCs. TLSCs are composed of clever organic salts which absorb invisible portions of natural light, infrared and ultraviolet basically. These salts then proceed to glow in a manner of speaking, and this glow powers narrow photovoltaic strips which are discreetly situated at the very edge of the window pane. The resulting power is then converted into electricity and fed into the local building or grid. These nifty see-through cells are capable of operating at an efficiency of around 10%, which is roughly half that of a regular opaque solar cell. And even though that might sound, well, a bit rubbish, researchers are at pains to point out what matters with transparent solar isn't the efficiency per se, but instead the potential scale for deployment. Right now, experts reckon the United States alone has between 5 and 7 billion square meters of glass. 1/10 of that is still a pretty big deal, capable, according to some estimates, of meeting perhaps 40% of the nation's annual energy requirements.
Adding solar glass to buildings gives them a cool dual function, acting as both windows and energy generators. This approach boosts resource efficiency. Plus, these transparent panels don't need direct sunlight or specific angles to work their magic, which means they can be placed on various surfaces, including vertical glass facades. They blend in seamlessly with building designs, looking just like regular glass. And the best part, before they're applied, these solar cells are lightweight and super easy to transport. These solar panels do more than generate electricity. They offer several additional benefits when integrated into buildings. The transparency allows natural light to enter while also controlling shading and glare. Also, the multi-layer structure provides sound insulation, which is adjustable by altering the glazing thickness. The heat generated from radiation can also be used to achieve thermal control, providing insulation and minimizing thermal gain. The panels can be aesthetically customized with different colors and effects, making it an attractive architectural element.
This isn't just a window, it's a solar panel too, and it could be a great way for you to generate electricity at home. Essentially, the windows have a transparent solar coating that harvests energy specifically from infrared and ultraviolet rays, whilst visible light passes through. This coating can be applied to objects like windows to help them generate power without ruining how they look or function, meaning your windows at home could help you generate your own clean energy. For large multi-story buildings, these windows could create up to 30% of the building's electricity needs. Each year, over 20 billion square feet of windows are installed in homes and buildings around the world. If these windows were converted to something like this, it would generate enough electricity to power 200 million homes and offset 10% of global carbon emissions.
One drawback of transparent solar panels is their power output. They are less efficient than traditional panels, converting only 10% of light into power. Traditional solar cells can reach 39.5% efficiency, with residential panels maxing out at 20% due to lower efficiency. More transparent panels are needed, and the higher cost of glass panels results in significant initial expenses. Additionally, glass panels need continuous sunlight and are more affected by cloudy weather than rooftop panels, making them less suitable for regions with high rainfall like the Pacific Northwest. Also similar to traditional solar panels, this new technology also has a limited lifetime, about 25 years. And there's a lot of concern about the amount of waste created by solar panels. Incineration can release toxic chemicals into the air, and throwing them into dumps or landfills could result in groundwater pollution. They are also prone to catching fire if they're not properly cared for. Transparent solar cells have the potential to revolutionize solar energy use. Their versatility lends itself to countless applications, especially in urban settings. Still, we need to make sure we can dispose of these panels in a safe and responsible way. As this technology advances, it has the potential to become a key element in sustainable architecture and energy production.
At the Grassroots farm, sustainability meets community in the heart of Belgium's scenic Flemish countryside. UNN field messenger Gisela tells us more about this remarkable farm.
This is Gisela, field messenger for United Network News, coming to you from Vremde, a small town in the Flemish part of Belgium. Today I am on the farm Grassroots, a very young farm that began 1.5 years ago and that grows biological vegetables on a regenerative basis. You can order online what you need, and this will be shipped to some smaller retailers, or you can come to the farm to collect your order. There are very many different sorts of vegetables, some old and forgotten ones, all very delicious. The planning and the work is done by Lien, the founder and manager of this farm. She gets lots of help from volunteers. Everyone likes to work in this pleasant place, a nature-loving group. Today we are celebrating a first Thanksgiving after lots of work in a difficult year because of too much rainfall and lots of snails gnawing at every plant.
Hello, my name is Lien. Lien Vrijders. I'm the farmer here at Grassroots. It's a regenerative and organic farm. We grow vegetables here in a way that's good for biodiversity. We try to put the carbon that's too much in the atmosphere back into the ground. We're gonna plant on the rest of the terrain a food forest that will produce a lot of fruits and nuts and other delicious food for us, but also for the birds and for all the insects here on this earth.
I hope you enjoyed the report. Seeing you next time. Goodbye.
You know how tiring work can get when it doesn't treat you fairly? Well, there is a new set of rules coming in to change all of that for workers in the UK. The government has rolled out a new employment rights bill to make the workplace fairer by tackling exploitative employment practices and boosting employee rights. The idea is to make sure all employers play by the same rules, leveling the playing field for responsible businesses that might otherwise be at a disadvantage against less honest competitors.
Central to the bill is the removal of the 2-year qualifying period for unfair dismissal protections, granting every worker these rights from their first day on the job. The new statutory probation period proposal aims to help companies assess employee suitability while boosting worker confidence to join or shift careers. This initiative promises to improve living standards by easing entry into the job market.
But the really, really interesting thing that affects absolutely everyone is changing unfair dismissal from a 2-year qualifying period to a day 1 right. Now, this is absolutely enormous because unfair dismissal is a very precise and strict test that employers have to follow. It basically says that you can't dismiss someone unless you pass 2 tests. The first one is that you're dismissing them for one of 5 fair reasons, and the second one is that you followed a fair process. If an employer doesn't pass either of those tests, then the dismissal becomes unfair, and the employee has the ability to take their employer to tribunal and seek compensation.
Another big change is putting an end to 0-hours contracts. Studies show that 84% of workers on these contracts would prefer guaranteed hours. Now, workers who've been clocking regular hours for a set period can switch to a guaranteed hours contract. This change aims to provide more financial stability while still accommodating those who like the flexibility of 0-hour contracts. In fact, research shows nearly 64% of managers think ending 0-hour contracts would actually help their business. Here's an example of how crazy things can get under the current system.
Just a quick one before you disappear. What is your availability for next week? I'm just sorting out the rotors. Oh, amazing. Well, I'm free every day next week. Oh, amazing. You can do every single day next week. Okay, perfect. Let me pop you down. Let me see. We are struggling for hours next week. We haven't got much to give out. So if we can just get you on the Saturday 9 till 11, is that all right? Yeah, I really wish we could give you more hours. We just can't this week. It's just, honestly, it was so quiet and we've got so many staff to get through. Is that all right? What is your availability for next week? I'm just sorting out the rotors now. Oh, I'm going away next week, so I won't be able to work at all, unfortunately. Right, you can't work any day next week? Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Okay, well, that does put us in a difficult position because I have rotated you in to do 12 days next week, okay? 12 days, 17 hours a day, unfortunately, so I am going to need you to work some of it, okay? Wait, what? Yeah, no, I know it's 0 hours. I do understand that it's 0 hours, but we give you hours when we haven't got any, okay? So we're just looking for a little bit of leeway, all right? Yeah, I am going to need you to work at least half of them, otherwise you're going to need to find cover, unfortunately, because I've already rotated you in. But I can't. Yeah, no, you can't be taking a week off. I know it's 0 hours, and I know we're not committed to you in that way, but honestly, we really do need you to work next week, okay? Can you not do any more days at all? No, I'm literally not in the country. Right, okay, well, I'm going to rotate you down for every single day next week anyway, and then you'll just have to find cover, and if you can't do it, then we're just going to have to look at disciplinary action, okay?
The bill also goes after unfair tactics like fire and rehire by closing loopholes and offering better protection against unfair dismissals right from the start. It's all about making job security something everyone can count on.
Ending fire and rehire. So the government promised to end fire and rehire. Are they going to actually do it? Well, they've unveiled the Employment Rights Bill, which has delivered a monumental change to fire and rehire. If you don't know what it is, currently employers sort of have a loophole where if they want to change an employee's terms and conditions, if they've got a good business reason, they might decide to go down the process of dismissing them and re-engaging them on new terms. The government have sought to end this, and they have delivered. So, for all intents and purposes, it is going to be automatically unfair for an employer to dismiss an employee if they don't agree to a variation in their contract, or where the principal reason is to enable the employer to recruit another person or hire the employee under new terms which have substantially the same conditions. The only way they're going to be able to use this is if they can argue that the business is going to collapse if they don't implement this, and that is going to be a hard one to prove.
Many people struggle to balance work and family responsibilities. The current system simply doesn't suit the realities of everyday life, like raising children or supporting loved ones with health issues. The bill will change the rules around flexible work arrangements, aiming to make flexibility the norm unless employers can justify otherwise.
The big thing to realise is that you can now basically apply for flexible working from day one rather than having to wait 26 weeks, which you used to have to do. You no longer have to do that. There are lots of great additions to this new law that basically means it is much easier to apply and hopefully get flexible working approved. What are the benefits of flexible working? Well, when done really, really well, it's massively beneficial to organisations. For number one, it actually widens the talent pool and the amount of talent that is actually available or accessible to those particular roles, those organisations. It isn't just limited to parents. It could be carers or for well-being reasons or for people that maybe want to take up and learn a new skill, which is massively beneficial to the organisation. And there's lots of studies that show that actually employees are way more productive when you get flexible working right.
Another noteworthy shift is the introduction of a new right to bereavement leave, which promises to be sensitive to employee needs while also considering employer concerns. Strong protections are also on the way for pregnant women and new mothers, shielding them from dismissal during pregnancy, maternity leave, and 6 months after returning to work.
The Labour government are also promising a full review into parental leave and parental rights as part of this bill. This will not only benefit around 30,000 fathers, but this also increases equal opportunities as well. As we know that women are discriminated against, or there is a bias when it comes to employers. They don't want to hire women because there is a chance that they could go off for long periods of leave for maternity. And this type of discrimination has been around for years, and that is why there is a huge argument amongst feminists to include fathers and partners in maternity leave and maternity rights. With fathers being able to leave for paternity leave from day one, we're getting closer to equal opportunity and equal rights.
Also, there's an initiative to address low pay by basing the minimum wage on the cost of living and doing away with discriminatory age bans. The new bill moves away from past industrial relations policies that were seen as ineffective and expensive. It's even getting rid of anti-union laws like the Minimum Service Levels Act, also known as the Strikes Act. A new Fair Work agency will soon bring together various government bodies, providing a single point of call for workers' rights issues. This agency aims to enforce holiday pay and bolster statutory sick leave, offering more support for businesses eager to follow the law while cracking down on those who don't. The overhaul of workers' rights proposed by the government is estimated to cost businesses up to £5 billion or $6.48 billion annually, with new enforcement bringing low pay and unfair dismissal into the spotlight. An official impact assessment highlights the financial burden of these changes, suggesting potential legal disputes between employers and staff could rise by 15%, while unions commend these revisions as transformative for millions and advantageous for business productivity. Critics argue they threaten jobs and wage stability, especially in smaller firms.
I just think that this stuff has gone completely the wrong way. We've got a massive problem with growth in our country. We've got a productivity problem, and we've got very, very sluggish growth. I mean, we've got to a sorry situation where chancellors like to boast that we're in growth and it's sort of 0.5 or something. That's not growth as other booming parts of the world recognise it. We're not going to solve productivity or get our economy really, really going great guns by giving workers ludicrous numbers of extra rights to just be at home or do things their own way. In the end, business and employment is a transaction. It's not some kind of form of charity. It is a transaction that has to work for the employer. Bottom line is, if your employee is not earning you more money, providing you more value than you are having to pay that employee, then the equation doesn't work anymore. This isn't some kind of, welfare system. Yeah. It is about making money for the company or employer concerned.
Despite the anticipated costs, reports suggest the reforms will enhance societal well-being and health. The bill's full implementation is expected no sooner than the fall of 2026.
Passion fruit is a delicious and nutritious tropical delight, cherished around the world. UNN Field Messenger Emma shows us how to make passion fruit jam from the red variety, known for its high iron content.
Hi, this is Emma, Field Messenger for UNN, reporting from Fuerteventura, Spain. So today's report is going to be about passion fruit, like you see behind me here, but not the yellow ones today. Today I'm going to talk about how to make passion fruit jam from the red ones. So they're really yummy. So we got a box of passion fruit from a friend, and we have separated the fruit peel and the fruit content. So we're going to boil both of these. So now I have an iron pot, and I'm going to add coconut sugar into the mix. Organic coconut sugar. And now I'm going to add some filtered water to this and put the lid on and heat it up to make the pectin, the inside crust here, soft. The next phase of making passion fruit jam is to add in the pectin. The pectin has been in the blender with a knife blade, mixed with a little bit of juice from the jam. And now it's time to add it in and put it on the oven and make it boil again. The fruit and the juice stimulates the digestive system and have a mild calming effect. But the most important use is to prevent anemia because of the high iron content. It's a very nutritional food and it's actually delicious, so we love it. Okay, thank you for watching.
At UNN, you are the news. Get involved by joining our weekly Field Messenger meetings. Visit unitednetwork.earth to learn more. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me.